We here, we here, we here. We back at it again. We back at it again. All right. So basically, a lot of people thinking having generational wealth is the big picture. You know, I've always begged to differ. You can get all the money, have it for the kids, but if the kids have no knowledge or retain any knowledge, they lose sight of the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is constant wealth. You know, And a lot of people, you don't have generational wealth if you have it within one generation. Two, Rob was going, hey man, bro, I'm gonna drop the link real quick. I need you to go ahead and drop your number again in the back. Cause I don't think I saved it last time. And vice versa. Going on with you, bro. I ain't seen you in a minute, man. What's been going on with you? It's Laura's garden in the building. Laura, I gotta get you a wrench. Okay. Country, country hustle, what's going on with you? Too raw with the 4.0. Boss lady, Miss Laura, I gotta get you a wrench. All right, let me go on over here. I dropped the link in the description as well. That's what took me a little long to get back over here. I had to drop a link in the description about this video I want to talk about, mainly due to having an issue with a lot of times people think that generational wealth is always predicated on, okay, got it. I'll text them later. Yeah, always they think generational wealth is predicated on, you know, having that money and just passing it on to the kids. It's more than that, you know. It's more than just having the money and passing it on to the kids. Okay. And a lot of times, I seen it in the back. I got you. And a lot of times, man, we have issue with, you know, this kind of decision. I'm just gonna give my kids so much money, and they're gonna be above everybody else. They're gonna, be able to get the nice cars and all this. But you keep lacking the information. That's why I keep telling people when it come down to money, knowledge is power. And I put it in the description of the video saying that, you know, if I pass $1 billion or $1 million to my son can easily spend that money and lose that money. Because they've always said that a lot of billionaires and a lot of millionaires who got to that status, most of the time it's millionaires. Most of the millionaires lost their million and gained it back 2 and 3 times over. Prime example. Everybody talks about Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey is, I think, on his third time on becoming a millionaire. You know, through situations, through marriage, he lost his money and gained it back. Then you got other people. There was this record executive. He was an A&R, the guy that go out there, find the talent and stuff like that. He literally became a millionaire during the time of Master P. He said he was one of the two people that had a platinum Rolex. When they first dropped the platinum Rolex, he was one of the two people. It was him and Master P were the only two with platinum Rolex. It cost that much, and he was a nobody to regular people, but in the industry, he was that dude. End up having a situation where his brother died, couldn't focus on life, lost his job, lost his house, everything. And it got to a point to where, this guy was like, man, I was bad out. And I know I wanted to deal with kids because the way I dealt with the young generation of kids and the adults coming into the music industry. So he developed something like an app to where a lot of kids that were going to college can get on the app and put themselves in a situation to where they can find the best colleges. They can apply for them and get scholarships easily. And he said, I became a millionaire back just off that app alone. I was like, man, that's crazy. Well, website, not app. It was website back then, but the website just alone, Lisa J Stock, what's going on? And the thing of it was, he was kept referring to, I knew I became a millionaire one time, I could do it again. I had the knowledge. That's all he kept referring to. I had the knowledge to be a millionaire, and if so, I could do it again. So that's why I took the step and went on ahead and just said, bump it. I'm going to do what it takes for me to make money again. I'm going to do what it takes for me to overall, do this and that again. And it's crazy how we have situations like this in our family, friends. You know, there are a lot of people that are making money, but they don't know how to pass it down to the next generation. Needless to say, just by giving them the money, the next generation will then be broke because that generation has not been taught to take money, save, invest. They just got to the point where they say, well, I'm just going to spend money. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to do that. Prime example. I have a coworker I talk to. Me and him are pretty good friends. And he was referencing me about a situation where, you know, a family member knew somebody that they were dealing with that had got an inheritance. The dad had passed, and the kid couldn't get the money until he turned 18 because that would have been his senior year to the point of him getting ready to graduate, and he's the only one can obtain the money. Mother couldn't get it; he was the only one. So if he passed, hey, but due to circumstances, the kid turned 18, still in school, senior year. Despite the guy trying to lead the kid on the right path and tell him not make this decision, and to my understanding, there was never a point to where they had a dollar amount on which they know the kid got. Only between the mother and the son knew how much the kid got. But to a degree, this kid went and bought a $98,000 Hellcat, fully loaded, everything, all the specs, everything, red key, all that. And people that know about cars and Dodge, the red key supposed to unlock and supposed to be the fastest, and such and such, such, such. But it was to the point where you literally see like this young man getting a like thousand something whatever horsepower, zero to 60 in 5 point some seconds, 6 point some seconds, monster of a car. And when it come down to it, still in high school, just turned 18. At 18, most kids are not even responsible enough to, clean their room, let alone drive a $98,000 car. And that's one of the highest stolen cars robbed and killed within America. And the mother just let the son get it. Spike the guy was telling her, hey, I don't think that's a good look. I don't think that, not trying to say, well, I'm a hater on the kid. It, tell the kid to get a Honda. If he don't want a Honda, he can get a nice Lexus. He can get a Mercedes. Those are fast. Those are nice. Get a used one. Take that money, invest in something, and when you get 25 or so, then get that car because you'll be a little more mature. You know, Studies shown that overall, most adults don't reach their age of maturity till 25. Some a little later than that. You got people older than that still don't know, but to a degree, somewhat of age of maturity around 25. But needless to say, the knowledge. His parents never took the time and gave him that knowledge to say, well, despite me spending $98,000 on a car, I can literally get this type of car, knowing I can afford this car, but just don't get it and take my chances on what? Getting something that's reliable, taking this money and invest. Don't you know this guy could have got a already fully operated business for about $98,000, and all he had to do was just stamp his name on there as the owner of the company. That's all. Needless to say, he come into a ready-made business, don't have nothing to do but just manage the books. There are companies left and right selling their business, and we'll go into that on another one. It's about what are the best companies to kind of invest your money in and go forth for that. But just in general, just doing the research, having that knowledge, knowing that, man, if I get this type of money, not to squander it on a car, needless to say, take this money and invest it. You know, that's the whole reason why, a lot of millionaires stay millionaires. They have the knowledge to say, well, versus me getting this nice car, which I know I have the money, I can't afford it. I'm just gonna, go ahead and buy this nice little car. I'm go ahead and invest my money in something, you know, that's obtainable that can, give me money long term. Invested in some stocks, invested in, some bonds, invested in, passive income, anything that's generating me money. A lot of times people look at investment properties. These are the things that, people can invest their money in and see a profitable return if they, have the knowledge and knowing how to do it right. But key with this is a lot of times, we drop the ball due to the fact that, hey, we don't have the knowledge. We dropped the ball in being the next generation millionaire after our father was a millionaire because we didn't have the tools to get to the next level and succeed in being, the next generation millionaire. We have these situations all the time where a lot of these kids don't have the knowledge, so they spend more than they obtain. You know, they're putting their money in the market of Jordans and Hellcats, most of the young men, versus, stocks and buying a property, and the whole argument that's out now that I've been hearing around spaces that women own more houses than men, and the men rebuttal is, well, the women are getting houses from divorces and deceased men. So what? So what? It doesn't mean anything if they can't obtain it, because needless to say, if a woman gets a house in a divorce and she don't have the money to pay the bills, is she going to keep the house? So it's like I hear so many arguments about this stuff, making so many excuses. A lot of guys don't are not privy to the knowledge of obtaining a house, so they rather spend their money on the Hellcat and the Jordan versus, you know, being financially stable. Coming into a marriage, you already have your house. And since these guys want to cry about that stuff, Indiana Jackson, what's going on? When a lot of guys cry about stuff like that I hear, and I just say, well, why don't you do better for yourself? You know, because it's the majority of guys versus the minority of guys, you know, mostly handle business. Typically, within my group of friends, it's one of my friends that pretty much didn't get married, but he has a house. All my other groups of friends, they literally married, have kids. You know, it's just that one friend didn't get married, didn't have kids. He has a house, has a car, single bachelor guy. Just say he haven't found the right woman. And I told him just like I told Jay Smith, what's going on with you? But it's just like when it comes down to it, I tell him just like I tell most of the female women I talk to that hey, maybe you miss Mr. Right. Maybe he missed Mrs. Right. And it comes down to it that a lot of times without having the knowledge, you'll pass over good people. Just like not having the knowledge, you'll lose your money versus obtaining your money. And that's the problem what we having in every generation. You know, we're passing down this generational wealth because this is a hot ticket word, you know, to pass down. This is the hot ticket item for everybody to obtain. But not giving the knowledge to your kids, you're losing this. And, you know, I know y'all gonna get tired of me talking about this, but Alonzo needs to have another breakfast brunching or brunching to where he invite some more people and we have these discussions because I'm always gonna use this one I heard from that first brunch where the lady said she was a trust lawyer and she was referring to a young man that got about $3 or $4 million in the trust, and this guy blew that money. He went and bought a Ferrari, got him a place. I don't know if it was a condo or whatever, but she said he got a house out in California with a Ferrari, throwing parties almost every weekend, just wilding out with the money. Turned around and within a year, I'm talking about going to Dubai. She said he was taking trips like crazy, going to Dubai, going to all these different countries. Within about a year and a half, this kid was broke. He's down his last 500,000 probably. And he was like, where did the money go? Simple math. You know, even a kid knows this. If I got 5 grapes and I eat 3 grapes, I'm only have 2 grapes left. And if I eat another one, I'm gonna have 1 grape left. The simple math. This kid spent all this money, didn't have a point of obtaining, you know, Kirby Kai, what's going on with you? And never obtained any type of other money to put back in. So that was the issue. You know, having this generational wealth talk, it's all good and dandy until you get to the point where you really start talking about the knowledge. Then all you know is money. You don't know the knowledge in which to obtain money, to invest money in the stock, to take money and invest it in different assets, buying a house, renting the house out, using a bird method to, you know, obtain more wealth, buying a house, renovating the house, um, refinancing the house and renting it out. The bird method. A lot of this stuff, you know, when it comes down to it, I always tell people a lot of the knowledge that I talk about is not stuff that I'm already embedded in. It's to a degree most of the stuff I learned on the fly over the years, small things I picked up from other people, even other content creators. You know, it's funny. I'm gonna say this, Alonzo, when he has his information talking about stock, some of that stuff, I'm like, man, I don't want to hear this. But then I get interested when I be like, don't you know, me taking the time and listening to some of these videos, like some of the things that I don't even want to listen to, it doesn't pique my interest. When I actually sit down and listen to it, I'm like, man, there's some information I could use, you know, investing in my retirement. These are the things I should do. Nobody told me this. Like, man, let me keep listening to this video. When he does the breakdown on the life insurance, talking about obtaining life insurance. A lot of people thinking, oh man, the IULs, man, I gotta put $1,500 a month in it. No, you don't. You know, get you a policy and obtain that IUL. You can do it around 50 to $100. But this the catch. Always putting more in there later. A lot of people get those IULs, and the more money you put in there, the more off you'll be. You could set a standard to $200, $500 minimum. You pay every month if you have it in the budget, and then go ahead and say, okay, I'm putting this money in here. Oh man, somebody just passed, and I got all this money. I don't know what to do with it. I don't want to spend it. I don't want to, mess it up. Take all that money and put it in there, or take and invest. Do what you have to do, but don't just wild out with the money. You know, there was a guy I talked to on my route where I work. This guy got $10,000 from his grandmother back in the '70s and bought him a car. And to this day, he bought that car brand new for $11,000. And to this day, that car, everything's original. And don't you know that car right now? He said he priced it out, just put it on an ad just to see what he can get for it. People are offering him everything original. Only thing he had to replace mainly is just the brakes. Everything original, radiator, all that. Don't you know this guy was getting $80,000? He said, man, he said, dude, you wouldn't believe I'm getting $80,000 offers on this car because everything's original. Has low miles on it. Low miles on it. I think the guy said he didn't even crack 80,000 miles on this car. But yet, we have these conversations and talk about, oh man, people buying these old cars, they're not worth anything. Even like the Jordan conversation. The knowledge upon Jordans now. I told people if I knew what I knew now that they were going to take these Jordans to the next level like this, I would have invested in buying me Jordans. You know, yeah. And see, that's the thing. A lot of people living off the interest and who's learning this stuff? Nobody's telling this guy. His parents were so caught up on generational wealth. I'm going to pass all this money down to my son. I'm going to make my son rich. They never told him the key thing on how to keep the money. They just told him that he's going to have a whole bunch of money. Like I told my sons, I tell them, look, if I pass, you guys going to have this much money. I'm already having it divided to where you get this, your mother gets this, and you guys need to go get a business. Take this money and go get a business or buy a house. You have no mortgage. This is enough money for you to buy a house. And the thing is, let's say I die in the next 40 years. With my IUL, it keeps up with inflation. Because I have it in the market, so it keeps up with inflation. Just getting a regular whole life policy is good. But due to inflation, that $20,000 you bought in '99 for the 2000, it ain't worth nothing in 2024. You know, 20,000 was good in 1999, but 20,000 is like 8,000 or 5,000 in 2024. Prime example. You in 2099 average car, you know, I think my aunt got a Kia for about 13, like 15, 18,000. 18,000 she got a Kia Sedona, Kia Rento, whatever it was. Gas was, I think, about eight, $8 to $10 to fill up on that car. I used to drive the crap out of that car. And the crazy part was going on NC Worker, boss lady shouting out to everybody in the building. But the crazy part about it was taking that 20,000 in this day and time, I don't even think I can get a new car pretty much alone for that price. I probably can get a motorcycle, scooter or something like that. Cool gamer was going on. But other than that, like literally not keeping up with inflation, not giving the knowledge. I tell my wife the amount of money that I should have in there by the time I get older, she should have that money and invest. Oh man, IUL. You gotta stay tuned, country hustle. Best person to explain it and in very much detail is Alonzo Hall, the All-Star advisor, but it's an index universal life insurance policy. And I was like you, just only thought of term life, whole life. But with the IUL, it has moving parts. You know, Alonzo, he's gonna be proud that I do my little analogies and different little things to that living out loud the podcast was going on. But pretty much IUL is your life insurance that drives for you. You know, picture yourself getting in the car and you know a taxi, which you paying the taxi to take you to a destination, and while you're driving, the meter is steady going up, implementing that's your overall. You know, you go to Uber, you get a ride for Uber. Uber will sit there and tell you that hey, this ride is $20. Jump in the car, get to your destination, $20. You jump in a taxi, taxi tell you starting the meter, 250, $10 or whatever. And as you're driving, the meter steady increases. When you stop at the light, sometimes those meters are kicked and you're not paying attention, you're getting charged. Same thing with the IUL. Over the years, that meter steady running. So you're investing your money in the S&P. You're investing your money in different markets to where your life insurance is steady increasing. Shout out, like I said, Laura, I'm gonna drop Alonzo. If anybody, pretty much everybody has a wrench. Could you, someone drop Alonzo's channel and what's going on, J3 in the building? And this is the thing. Matter of fact, I might even call Alonzo when I get off this live and tell him to, drop some knowledge. I think he's kind of busy because normally he jumps in here about this time. If he has a couple of calls getting into. Matter of fact, let me hit him on the line real quick. And it better because that's my thing when it comes to the knowledge. I give out the knowledge, but more or less, I want to actually get someone to critique and come in that can better suit the information because I'm giving the knowledge from my understanding, you know, and I want as a professional that sells life insurance, to let him break it down for you. And just like the hair club for men, not only do I talk about his channel, I also have a policy with him. So shout out to Alonzo. But back into it, you know, getting that IUL and structuring it right, it grows over time. I have one policy with Lincoln, and Lincoln carries a 7% interest and that's good. Monthly. Just like you take your money, put it in a savings account. You take your money, put it in a savings account. Let's say let's do $10 a month. $10 a month, 7% interest. Well, let's do 100 to make the whole numbers. $100 a month, get $7 every month interest, and then appealing to the market, you know, goes off the market and increase. The market does good, your money does good. But overall, you're still, obtaining. Yes, and that's the thing. The crazy thing about that, Laura, I literally have all three. I started off with just getting some insurance, so I went and got an IUL, and that's a healthy amount. They're trying to get me to convert it into a whole life now, which I'm thinking about go ahead and doing. You know, but I have a term life, and I think I'm going to end up when I get older, get another term life. You know, because preferably talking with Alonzo, he gave me a little more insight that the longer you live, I think is when you're above 70, the longest term you can get is 10 years, and around 60 or so, I think that's when they give you a 20-year term. But and anything below that, you can actually get a 30-year term. And a lot of times, people are more or less getting those 20 and 30-year terms. So, say right now with the one I have now, let's say I got a 20-year term. I'm only 40, 41. So within 20 years, that'll be 61. If I don't pass in 61, that healthy amount that I signed up for, I'm not paying that. They're not paying it out. But, you know, the cash value of what I've been putting in, which might not be as much, that's the only thing I'm, pretty much prone to get back. But if I convert it into a whole life, then I'll be good. So I have my whole life as well. I got afterwards. And so I was like, I'm covered. I have whole life and I have a term life. Because they ask you these questions when you get your insurance through any carrier. Do you have any other insurance? Do you know the amount? Prime example. Alonzo had a person that beat cancer. So they asked him, did he have any cancer? He said no, which he didn't lie. But then one of the questions, have you priorly been diagnosed with cancer? He said no. The answer was yes. So he was denied from that company. And when they applied for another company, well, we see you lied on this application about not having cancer, so we're going to deny you as well. So overall, this guy took a L simply for lying. So be truthful. And then note to self, they have a portal in which I learned from Alonzo's channel. They literally have a portal to where they can go and look at all your medical records. All your medical records. So anything that you lie about, they can actually see within the medical records that you're lying. And then also coming down to my IUL. I got my IUL, and with that, just learning, the different moving parts in the IUL, I was fascinated with it, because a lot of people that have been on my channel and notice I talk about life insurance a lot. I got this from my great grandmother. My great grandmother always told everybody in our family, you don't want to be a burden. Now that my great grandmother's passed and the next generation of kids came along, A lot of the young generation, the what is it, the alphas, they don't have life insurance. I'm telling my older son and my daughter to get life insurance. My son's looking at the process of getting it now. My daughter's like, oh, I have my 401k and I have this and that. I say, well, if you don't make nobody the beneficiary of your money, then who's going to be able to get that money to bury you? You're not married, you know. And I was telling my daughter that, hey, you gotta be responsible. This is what I was taught. This is what you need to learn as well. Be responsible. Get life insurance. Don't be a burden to nobody. You know, these are the things that I was taught, and these are the things of knowledge that I'm passing on to my kids. Don't be a burden because, you know, prime example, having that life insurance, if something ever happens to you, your family be able to bury you and they'll still have a little money to, continue life. You know, say for instance, what's going on, Jay? What's going on with you? Prime example, let's say a man dies and he don't have no life insurance. He's the breadwinner of the house. He has kids. He has a wife. Let's say he had 3 kids, a wife, a massive, note on the house. Um, Cars aren't paid off yet. So literally going into month one, his wife only is using the money in the bank account. He has one more check from his job. She's taking that money and burying him, you know. Then the other check is follows. She's trying to straighten up on the bills and hopefully figure out what is she gonna do. What's her next move? She don't want to leave the house, so she struggles to go get a job. Ain't worked in 10, 15 years. So these are the things that she's thinking about to keep the house, to keep her kids in a nice neighborhood, nice community. But she don't have no money. She's not, getting any help from family members. So typically this what happens. The woman lose the house in a foreclosure because she's so set on staying in that community with the kids, friends, and the family that she's obtained extended family from the neighbors. So she ultimately lose the house versus selling the house and getting the money. And then go buy a smaller house, you know, okay neighborhood, and go get a job. Basically, just taking the money, buying a house cash, ultimately not trying to get another mortgage because she can't afford it right now. She don't know what the future holds. That's the knowledge passed down to where, you know, if anything happens, this is what you should do. Having these conversations before. Me and my wife have these conversations all the time. Because just know, there's not a moment in which I don't think I might die just going to work. I'm a truck driver. This job gets brutal. People will jump out in front of you. Having emergency funds. But needless to say, if that woman doesn't have anything, life ceases to exist for the most part until she get back on her feet. Especially she wasn't working, have to get a job, all these things go into play. But let's rewind that. Let's say this guy has life insurance, and shout out to Alonzo. If you have life insurance, you should be getting at minimum 20 years times your salary. So let's say this guy makes $100,000 a year, 20 times that salary. So at best, this guy should have it at best $2 million. $2 million at best, $2 million. So has $2 million in life insurance. He goes and passes. Guess what? The wife can still stay in the neighborhood. She can go ahead and pay the house off. She can pay the cars off. She takes the rest of the money, budget right. Once again, shout out to Lisa J. We got up here living off the dividends and the interest. you know, and obtaining some small job. You know, by then the kids are grown. You don't need the big house. You can downsize to a smaller house, sell that house, get the money, avoid the capital gains tax on it by putting in an annuity. But, you know, getting into that situation where you have the money to sustain life. I tell my wife this all the time. The more money I get in life insurance, the more I'm leaving to you and the kids. She don't like this notion of me buying so many policies, but like I told her, it's to provide for the kids and you if something were to happen to me, and also while I'm alive, you know, because let's have an understanding. Life insurance is life insurance for a reason. They do have death insurance that strictly pays after death only. You know, life insurance, you can go on your policy, take loans out, if need be, pay the loan back, and you're good. Pay yourself back. That's what a lot of people deal with those IULs as saying they're being the bank for themselves. And that's more details you want to get into with Alonzo with that. But, you know, getting to the situation of having that money just in case something happens. If a family member dies, they don't have life insurance. Prime example, me and my friend, we always say, well, there's no fish fries for me. There's no GoFundMe for me because I'm going to have the money. I'm going to have the situation to where my family's going to be taken care of. You know, we have that discussion and, we're young guys, 40s, but young guys compared to a lot of the elders that didn't have that knowledge. They still don't have life insurance. If your grandparents, your mother and father don't have life insurance, you need to sit down and talk with them. You know, prime example, Erica Williams, shout out to her with the Classy Climb. Erica Williams on YouTube, the Classy Climb. She had a live one time where she was discussing, life insurance and, generational wealth. And, she referenced within the Jewish community, they take the elder in their community and put a policy on them because, truth be told, it's not that you're pushing fault on them, that they know that they're going to die. And their thing is to, benefit from the death because it's inevitable. Everybody's going to die. But take a life insurance policy, put it on the oldest person, and lo and behold, I think it was 10. It was no. This situation came from a black family. A black family had their grandmother pass, but there were 10 grandkids. Put $1,200 a month on that grandparent. Whether it be all 10 of those kids were paying 1,200, or they was taking 1,200, a month collectively, like 100 and some change, and putting it on that grandmother every month. And when she died, she had $1 million policy. Each one of those kids got $100,000. Needless to say, they were taught the knowledge and generational wealth at the same time. Not only did they get that wealth, they were taught the knowledge because for them to put that money on there, and the grandmother probably lived 10 years. She probably lived 8 years after they bought that policy in. Who knows? She probably even lived 20 years, 15 years. But the point of reference is those 10 grandkids took it upon themselves to pay that grandmother's life insurance like that and reap the benefits within that $1 million policy. And I guarantee you, out of those 10 grandkids, none of them put in $100,000 into that policy. But that's the thing, you sit here, you learn the knowledge, and then you go forth and implement it throughout. And that's the thing with a lot of people not knowing the knowledge, you can't make the next move. You know, not knowing the knowledge, you literally can't make the next move. You're behind the eight ball. And most people go through this all the time. Not having that knowledge, they don't know what their next move is, the next step. You know, all they know is they got a lot of money. Prime example, lottery winners. Hey, Prashaz, what's going on with you? A lot of lottery members typically have all this money, don't know what to do with it. They don't know the first step in multiplying this money. They don't know the first step in keeping this money to obtain this money to pass down the generations. You know, having a conversation, follow money. You know, having a conversation, follow money. Um, there's a channel, Rosh, the on YouTube. Rosh is the guy who runs the channel, but his channel is I Want to Make You Rich. The channel is I Want to Make You Rich. And I follow this guy. He does a lot of couple, talks with them about finance and getting them to have an understanding about the money that you already have. You can make it grow to the next level, but you have to obtain it by doing what? Having the knowledge, and having the knowledge is one thing, but if you don't know what to do with the knowledge, then what? One moment. But with that being said, I'm about to get ready to jump off of here. A lot of times, man, people literally need the knowledge. Like I said, millionaires have always fallen by grace, lost their money, and obtained the millions back because they had the knowledge. Not having the knowledge, you're at a disadvantage, learning curve, in which most you'll never get the concept of making more money. Yeah, so when it comes down to it, man, like I said, it's a lot of the billionaires. I mean, a lot of the millionaires, they obtain their millions and they constantly, once they lose their money, they get it back because they done had money before. They've been in a situation to where money is always easy for them to get because they got the knowledge, you know. So when you don't have the knowledge, it hurts you long term, you know. And that's the biggest thing with a lot of people not having that knowledge. They can't pass that knowledge to the next generation of the kids. And if you can't pass it to your kids, you can't obtain it to, keep that generational wealth. And generational wealth is just not one generation. Prime example, look at the Rockefellers. The Rockefellers, every generation has money because they use life insurance to their benefit. How many of us know about the Rockefellers using life insurance to obtain money all these years versus the Vanderbilts losing their generation? And like I said, just over the years, the Vanderbilts lost their. I mean, they was the richest family, not to a degree in the world for the most part, because their mass wealth, you know, did it appeal through different industries. You know, the Rockefellers, and the craziest part, learning all this stuff about Rockefeller and how he obtained his wealth. it was crazy to me how his wife started Spelman College down here in Atlanta. And it's so many things about history. That's why I like the knowledge about history. It tells you about the past in which things, were upset, bad, but it also gives the truth about things and passing down, which you can obtain to make life better for you and the people around you. So, needless to say, generational wealth is only generational wealth when it can be passed down 3 to 4 generations. You know, all you're doing, if you're not doing that, you're just passing, money to the next generation. Yep. So with that being said, a lot of times, man, a lot of people got to find their way, you know, and finding your way by you, you know what I'm saying, getting the knowledge, passing it to your kids, obtaining the money, and knowing what to do with it. That's the biggest asset right there. The knowledge. If I don't have the knowledge to give to my kids, my life insurance is just paper to be thrown. And I've always used this example of giving a kid a gun. Giving a kid a gun is pretty much like a 3-year old, 4-year old, a loaded gun is a bad situation, bad thing, bad mistake, you know. And in most cases, not knowing and having the knowledge about safety and stuff, that kid's gonna shoot himself, shoot somebody else, you know. And shout out to Laura and Country Hustle. Y'all look into that IUL. I'll get in touch with Alonzo, get him to do a video on IULs today. So if you don't do one today, I'll make sure he has something to where you can pull up an IUL video on his channel. And matter of fact, let me go ahead and grab his link, put it in the chat right quick. All right. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to everybody. And this is Alonzo's link to his channel. Go ahead and sub to his channel now and get some good information. This is the thing. Like I say, I'm here to kind of give more or less the knowledge. We entertain and have jokes and laugh. I'm always on channels where I'm laughing and having jokes, but more or less, I try to push more the knowledge because prime example with me being an older man, getting in my 40s. Hey, life is not gonna wait for me to get this knowledge. You know, prime example. There are so many men and women out here now complaining and saying that I should have did this better. I should have did this when I was younger. Yeah, we can keep saying what we should have done, or we can go ahead and take heed and just do it now. And that's what I'm more or less obtaining for myself now is getting the information and getting stuff done now. Because when it comes down to it, waste for nobody. You know, if you're behind the 8 ball, you're just behind the 8 ball. If you don't have the knowledge, you're not going to succeed. Most people don't have that understanding. Having the knowledge, learning things, you can succeed in life. You can pass this knowledge and this information on to your kids. What they take and do with it, that's them. But overall, giving them the knowledge and giving them a fighting chance at life, because prime example, one of my friends who was talking yesterday, he said he had a stepson. He was talking to his stepson, and his stepson came in there, seen his stepson watching TV. He said, "You finished your work? What's going on, Tamika?" He said, "You finished your homework?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah, I finished my homework." He said, "You don't have nothing else to do?" He said, "No, I finished the whole chapter 2." He said, "Well, the kids that go to Harvard, they already studying chapter 3. The kids who out here doing good for themselves and taking themselves to the next level, going to these different Ivy League schools, they study in chapter 3." He said, "So what do you think you should be doing?" cut off the TV, start looking in his book. Ultimately, it's funny because I seen this video on YouTube where a Chinese guy see his son playing the game. He sees his son playing the game. He says, "Here, oh, we have him in the building. What's going on, Alonzo?"
What's up, bruv? How you?
All right, we got two people in the chat. I gave them a brief understanding of the IUL, but I want you to go ahead and come in real quick if you have a little time to give a breakdown, of the IUL and how does it benefit you and what's the difference between, the short term of the whole life, term life, and how beneficial IUL is.
Yeah, I can do that
Or
real
if,
quick.
or if
Let
you
me know when you're ready.
go ahead, and if you want to, do a live today. I got two people in the chat that seriously interested on looking into the IUL and what it's about.
All right, definitely. That's something I can do. Um, so realistically, all three types of insurance are definitely necessary: term, whole life, and IULs. They all have their existing reasons. Term life insurance is a really good thing for a period of time. So when you're looking at our community, term life insurance is a great product when you want to make someone like a godparent of your children, right? So let's say I have a son and I want to make you the godfather. I would then get a 20-year term and make you the beneficiary. Why? Because I'm asking you as the godfather of my son, hey, if something happens to me, I want you to take care of my kid and finish raising him. So that's one great reason for a term life insurance policy. So term life insurance is very affordable. It's low cost, high death benefit. So it is death insurance and it is literally only there for if you die. But again, certain circumstances like things like if I make Sheed the godfather of my child, I don't need a whole life. All I need is once that kid is 18, basically, he don't need that insurance anymore. So term is for temporary things, but there's no cash attached to it, nothing. Whole life is a product that is there for your whole life, literally. So you could buy it at 18 or 80 or however old, and it never expires as long as you pay your premium. The downside to it is not as robust when building cash value as an IUL. Okay. Now, a whole life policy, depending on the carrier that you're with, will pay dividends. So whole life insurance pays dividends, just like a stock pays dividends. Whole life insurance pays dividends. So you want to make sure if your policy is what's called participating, because that means it pays dividends. But those are some of the things, the benefits of a traditional whole life policy is it has cash value and it can pay dividends. Now, the IUL is a very special product. It's not cheap. It's definitely something you have to have the money to pour into to get the proper use out of it. But if you do pour the money into it, the beautiful part there is number one, it mirrors an index. So for example, it will mirror the S&P 500. So you could say that it has the upside of the market and none of the downside. Why? Because in IUL, let's say it's following the S&P 500. So there will be a cap. Let's say the cap is 7%, meaning that the S&P goes up 15%. You're only going to get 7%. Now, why is that good? Because if the S&P goes down like it did in 2008, if it goes down 38%, you just get zero. So you just don't grow, but you don't lose anything. So that's the benefit, one benefit of the IUL. The other benefit is that you have flexibility of premium, meaning you can change how much you pay into the policy every month to certain minimums and maximums. You can access the cash value at any time before 59 and a half, like 401k or an IRA, where you have to wait till 59 and a half, or you pay tax penalties. You don't pay any tax penalties on the money that you borrow from your life insurance. That's a little bit there. If anybody is really interested in learning more about IULs, um, you can follow my channel or hit me up. And there will definitely be some good information there. I'll probably be going live later today anyway. But I'll pause there.
Yeah, man. I dropped your channel, so I'm gonna end up dropping it again before I jump off of here. But basically, like I was just telling people, that pretty much the live was talking about knowledge over generational wealth because there are millionaires who made millions, lost their millions, and got it back just on the premise of having the knowledge. You know, people having generational wealth and not obtaining it, not having the knowledge to keep it going, like I said, when is your next luncheon, man? Because I always talk about, the brunch that you have and have a lot of
That's a
people
good
come.
question. We've been thinking about it. I've been expanding, so I haven't been able to really put one together because I keep growing and I keep getting new trainees, so I have to mess around and train them up.
Yeah, I seen that.
Um, which takes a little bit of time, but I definitely want to do one this month. Uh, I might just skip Charles and just do mine on my own. Um, and then just let y'all come and set it up. I might end up just doing one like next week.
Okay.
Yeah, cause I y'all keep asking about it too, so I might as well.
Yeah, man, because that insight on that information, and a lot of people, I always say they fail to understand that the information you get now and learning and obtaining it can carry on to the next generation by teaching it to them. That's why I'm so heavy invested in, trying to learn this information now because, you know, needless to say, um, a lot of times people think they're gonna live forever. They don't have no life insurance and ultimately become a burden. That's why I've always told you about my great grandmother when she told me about getting life insurance. You don't want to be a burden to nobody.
Mm-hmm.
And that set me the stage to, pass this information to my kids. Like I say, to get them on board about life insurance, get them ready and get them have an understanding to say, hey man, life insurance, like you say, life insurance is not death insurance. They have death insurance. Life insurance is for life. Going in there,
Yeah.
pulling money out, adjusting things to benefit you. That's what the life insurance is for. A lot of people look at their 401k as that. I say I prefer having a, IUL than the 401k. You know, Different moving parts, vehicle, and it's limits on that 401k. You know, and most people when you're using that for retirement, hey, structuring the policy right, the policy will pay you out for the rest of your life.
See, that's another thing. I think I might do a live talking about that because like the 401k is, don't get me wrong, it's a great product to have under certain circumstances. Those circumstances are your job contributes. So let's say that you put in 5% of your salary and your job matches you dollar for 5% of your salary. Then that's exactly what you should put in that 401k and not a dime more. Why? Because the 401k grows deferred. So what it does is it brings your taxable income down, right? In the calendar year. So let's say you make 100,000 this year and you put 23,000 into your 401k. So technically you made what, 78,000 instead of 100,000. So your taxes are lower. But what happens is 40 years from now when you retire, you got to pay taxes on the money that you put into that 401k because you put that money away tax deferred. Now the problem is that over the last 40 years, I don't know about you, Sheed, but I haven't seen the income tax rate go down. So I'm going to assume that if, over the next 40 years, the income tax rate is not going to go down, but it's going to go up. So what you're saying when you do things like a 401k is, nah, I'm going to avoid taxes now because I think in the future, income tax will be less, even though history has shown that income tax only goes up. I've never seen anybody pay less taxes when they make more money, unless they make way more money. Right? So the 401k can't be touched until you're 59 and a half without a 10% penalty from the IRS. This is why an IUL may be a better option. But again, a person needs to fund that policy to a certain point, and that's what it messes me up in the game because you've got all this social media stuff, people coming online telling you, hey, you can do it for this, you can do it for that. And while you can do certain things, the outcome that you may want may not be what you think it is, from certain products, right? Like you have the Lincoln, which is good for long term care, but not the best for money growth, right? If you want to look at money growth, maybe you look at Prudential or some of the other carriers, with their IUL. Nationwide has a good long term care IUL. So you want to look at these carriers and look at what their IUL is geared toward as well. And not all IULs are built the same. So when someone is talking to you about an IUL, I think I'm going to do this. There are a lot of questions that you need to ask because an IUL, all IULs are not created the same, and all IUL advisors are not created the same. There are a lot of advisors who don't know what they're doing with the IUL, which can cause you, the customer, harm, which obviously is not what you want, right? Because you want to be, put in the right spot with an IUL. Any questions in the chat?
No, not yet. They just basically listening.
All right, definitely. Yeah, I wanna see some questions because I want to say thank you again, She, because you constantly shout me out and you constantly say, "Hey, man, you know, y'all need to holler at this brother and look at this stuff." And so I appreciate that a lot. That increases my confidence in your confidence in what I do. But I guess when someone knows what they're doing, you kind of feel comfortable, right?
Yep, that's true.
So that's that's one of those major things right there, though, with the IUL, is not every agent quite knows what they're doing. So you want to be extremely careful when someone pushes an IUL. Generally, if they're pushing an IUL and they're not telling you, hey, it's probably going to be expensive, right? Then you might want to run, right? Most of the time, IULs are going to cost a couple of $100s a month if you want them to do what it is that like the insurance guy is telling you that they can do, right? Listen to me calling insurance people the insurance guy, but realistically, you so for an IUL to work for infinite banking, you got to put a lot of money in there. For an IUL to work for a LIRP, a life insurance retirement plan, you got to put a lot of money in there. For an IUL to work as an executive 162 bonus plan, you got to put a lot of money in there. Now, it varies how much money you put in there depending on what you want your policy to do. And it also varies depending on the length of time that you're trying to get this policy to do whatever it is that you'd like it to do. So, time is one of the most important factors when it comes to, excuse me, setting up your insurance. Because the more time you have, the less money you have to spend. So that's why I say things like get an IUL on your kid and spend $100 a month while they're 15 days old. It seems crazy at first to be like, why am I spending $100 a month on a kid's life insurance? Until you turn around and when that kid is 15, 16, they got enough money in that life insurance because you put $100 a month away at a compound interest rate. Now they got enough to pay for Yale, and they ain't even fully 18 yet. So those are some of the reasons why you would get an IUL on a kid, right? And I was talking to Savings Minus Debt, and both he and I both, when we have first been talking, thought that we disagreed on life insurance. And in some point we do, in terms of I don't think that anybody should be buying term and investing the rest. Not that it's a terrible strategy, but most people can't afford that strategy. I think what people should do is number one, buy whole life and invest the rest. And number two, the younger you are, the more apt you are to get a whole life insurance policy. So you'll hear a lot of these guys run around and tell you, while you're young and you don't have a lot of money, get a term insurance policy. And while that makes sense on the face level, the reason it doesn't make sense is this. When you're young and you ain't got no wife and kids and no mortgage or no car note or no student loans and no responsibilities, most of your money you could spend on Beyonce tickets, right? Whereas when you start to get older and have responsibilities and stuff, now you don't have that expendable income to spend on life insurance. So it's better to get a big whole life insurance policy while you're young because life insurance is not paid for by money. Life insurance is paid for by age, health, and time. So, depending on your age and your health and how much time you have, you can get a really robust policy as a youth. And then, as you're getting older, it becomes, built with cash value, so on and so forth. The next thing is that nobody should pay for whole life insurance for their whole life. Again, you got to get with an agent who knows what they're doing so they can set you up properly. But nobody should be paying for whole life insurance for their entire life. And there's ways that you can get it set up so that you can pay for the life insurance faster. Does it cost more upfront? Yes, because you're paying more. You're paying, down the time that you have to pay with money. So, if you're paying a 30-year policy off in 10 years, yeah, it's going to cost you more upfront, but after 10 years, you're not paying for anything anymore. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So, give me 1 second. I got to tie my shoe. I'm getting ready to run outside and take my morning walk. But so those are just a few points that we can talk about with the insurance. Again, if you want to learn further, you'll definitely do a consult with me because while what I'm saying is surface level, it's very difficult to make it specific to each person's situation. And you guys might have a specific question about something that maybe I can answer, but maybe you don't want it, easy. But those are definitely some of the strategies that you want to look at when you're looking at getting the life insurance. Um, because we also want to know why you're getting life insurance, right? What is it that you want it to do for you? A lot of people are just get put in the headspace of you know um insurance is a good thing to have because in case I die, it gives my family a check. But I was actually looking at an Instagram the other day, and the young lady was going crazy. She was like, "Yeah, sometimes If I'm a stay-at-home wife, I'm really itching to make sure my husband gets life insurance, because even if he already has a life insurance policy, it's usually not enough. She said it'll be enough to either, pay off a house or pay off a couple bills and pay for the funeral. But she said it doesn't pay off all the house, pay off all the cars, pay for the kids to have money, and leave money for your everyday life that your husband was out there busting his ass going to work every day for. And I think that's something we, as husbands, don't really look at. Often we think it's another bill we got to pay until we think about how hard we made it on our wife and kids by dying without enough insurance, right? And usually, as husbands, we're gonna die first, right? Because we're out there physically working and stuff. Then you'd be extremely surprised to see how many people think that stay-at-home moms don't need life insurance, which is actually completely false. If you're a stay-at-home parent, you really need life insurance. Why is that? Because while your husband is out there being the breadwinner, right? You've got to sit there and make sure that the house is taken care of. So this actually becomes more expensive because, God forbid, the homemaker passes away. Now the breadwinner has to turn around and do things like get up extra early to make sure that he can provide a breakfast for the kids and get them ready for school and all that. So now I got to get up extra early to make breakfast for the kids and get them ready for school and get myself showered and shaved and get ready for work. And then I got to leave early to take the kids to school. And then when I'm at work, I got to make sure somehow that the kids get picked up from school and then somebody takes care of them, right? So all of that stuff is stuff we don't think about. Childcare is expensive as sin, right? And we don't think about that up front. We're just like, oh, if I die, I got to make sure that this money is here for that. We don't think about, oh, well, if I die or my wife dies, who's going to take care of the house, right? We don't look at that. So, and these are just things where, what if something happens and you die, right? Because I'm talking about death insurance right now. But again, more often than not, what if something happens and you live, which is what happens more to people than if something happens and you die? Well, life insurance actually can have you covered for that because they have living benefits. So some policies will cover you for things like cancer, terminal illness, certain hospital visits, blindness due to diabetes. If you can't perform activities of daily living, there's a whole bunch of stuff that they'll actually look out for you for. So that's just some of it. Let me pause there for a minute. Any questions?
Nope, nothing. Uh, Pretty much. When you think you're gonna go live later?
I'll probably go live between noon and 2 o'clock.
All right,
Yeah,
that's cool. I'll try to go
yeah,
ahead and post it and get everybody informed on it.
yeah. I'm gonna do it between noon and 2 o'clock. Run over, go live, get some info out to the peeps. Cause you know what? I'm excited. Like I see in the comments, I don't see questions, but what I do see is people are showing like heart emojis and stuff because they're appreciative of this information. So Sheed, I gotta thank you again because I go through these spaces that we belong to, and people keep telling me, "Oh, I don't want to hear this insurance stuff. Is boring. Oh, it's boring. Oh, it's boring." But every single time is a couple people who be like, man, listen, what you mean boring? Cause when them checks come, it ain't boring. You, K Business Podcast, and Rael, you'll always be like, yo, if you don't stop saying this stuff is boring. And actually, I went on with another guy by the name of the Amazing Hustler, and he was like, yo, the only people who think this is boring are idiots and trolls. He said everybody else is trying to learn this stuff. So I appreciate y'all for actually trying to learn this stuff. What I would say is this, however, in terms of the insurance and the investments and all that, leave that to the professionals, right? It's a great idea to learn something about it so you have an idea of what you're getting into when you're dealing with us, but leave that stuff to us in terms of worrying about it day in and day out. You just make sure to vet us to make sure, hey, listen, what are you doing with my money? Are you doing the right thing by my money? Right? Um, but I don't think you need to, learn exactly how to invest and all that. That's my job, right? But I do think it's a good idea to learn what I'm doing or learn a bit about what I'm doing so you can kind of gauge against it and say, Alonzo, I don't know what that is right there. I don't like that. Da 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 da. Normally my tax accountant does this or what have you. And we can have that conversation. The next good idea is to actually have that conversation with your financial professional. Hey, listen, you my CPA, I want you to talk to my insurance guy. Hey, you're my attorney. I want you to talk to my CPA and my insurance guy. Hey, you're my, this, I want you to talk to my that, right? Because we're all supposed to be part of your financial health team. All right? So you got to help us to help you. Part of that is communicating with us. Hey, I want you to talk to my this. I want you to talk to my that. Right? Those
Yeah.
things are actually important because we all have different specialties, right? So your CPA, while he's good at filing taxes, he might not know all of the tax loopholes that are benefit to you because he doesn't know insurance, right? So he doesn't know things like IRC 7702, IRC 72T, IRC 72E. These are all internal revenue codes that have to do with insurance. IRC 401k, which a 401k isn't a product, it's just a tax code. You, as a consumer, don't know that, but me, as the salesperson, knows that. And again, a lot of people who are licensed to sell this stuff don't even know that. So that's why it gets frustrating because there's a lot of guys who don't know what they're doing, but they're good at speaking to people. And, I notice that's one of my issues is sometimes I speak and it goes way over people's head. The problem is sometimes it has to, you know, because it's just the way certain stuff is, kind of like you said, she with the generational knowledge with your kids, like part of what is supposed to happen, right? Like you said the same thing when we were talking to the woman from my last brunch and wealth about the kid. He got, all these millions of dollars, but he didn't know what to do with it. In fact, there's a content creator who I follow who talks about the fact that he got an inheritance and blew through it, right? And it's very easy to blow through an inheritance, right? Especially if there's something called the spendthrift clause that wasn't put on that inheritance. What the spendthrift clause does is it allows, hey, listen, you my beneficiary, I'm gonna give you this $10 million, but you only get, $50,000 a month for every month. You don't get the $10 million up front because I don't want you in 2 weeks to blow through it by, going to Dubai and buying everybody a Bugatti and, all your homeboys get new cars, new clothes, and then you don't have any money left, right? So what I do is I put the spendthrift clause so you can't do that. Now you can only spend how much I give you per year. I'm only give you $100,000 a year for 100 years. So every year you can spend that 100,000, but not a dime more, right? And these are things that are taught to certain generations. So most money is lost by the third generation. So there be people who leave their family well off, right? But let's look at, Nate Dogg, the rapper.
Oh man, I just heard they just settled his estate
Yeah,
this year.
yeah. It's
You know
been
how
like
much
10
money they
years.
would you know how much money that the probate got every year to do this? Like
Yeah,
they pay so much in fees. That's the first thing I heard when I heard that they just settled his estate. That's the first thing I thought of. Man, court fees alone. You imagine when Chadwick he paid 900,000 through probate for
he
his
paid
estate.
1.5 million.
I thought it was 900,000 to the court, and then he paid 1.5 for taxes, and then the other money was split amongst the family.
So the family got 1.1 million each. His wife got
Yeah,
1.1 million. His mom got 1.1 million. The state got 1.5 million plus the 900,000 in fees. Yeah.
yeah, that was
So
crazy. And it's just like so much like that. And then when Nate Dogg, oh yeah, just like you were just talking about, it'll be good to have your child set that way because typically when you get a large sum of money, you're gonna spend it fast. You never had it before, so you're just gonna be wilding out. To the extent of you getting that money over time, if I get 100,000 this year, I know I blow through that 100,000 next year. I'm gonna have to think about what I'm gonna do. Then the year after that, then after so many years, just get that lump sum. You done messed over 2 years of money. You're gonna be looking at what is gonna be the best benefit to where I won't go broke every year spending all this money if they had the knowledge.
yeah, well, see, even without the knowledge, being a stickler up front and doing things like the spendthrift clause, you're giving them the knowledge because what happens is your kids, listen, people, if you give me $1 million right now, and I'm a financial advisor, if you give me $1 million right now, hey Alonzo, here's $1 million tax free, you ain't got to, I'm gonna go crazy. I'm gonna go buy a car, I'm gonna go buy a house, I'm gonna go take me a trip to Dubai, I'm gonna go, you know, buy me some fancy clothes, I'm gonna get the best food, all that stuff, right? But if you tell me, hey, here's $1 million, you got to live the rest of your life off of this, right? If you give me, again, I'm a financial professional, I work in this field. If you give me $1 million right now and tell me you have to live off of this for the rest of your life, I'm going to not be able to live the rest of my life with that $1 million because I'm going to spend it, right? That's just kind of the way it is, right? So, how do you get around that? Well, you do things like the spendthrift clause. So now I get $100,000 a year for 10 years straight. So that first year, I I ran through that 100,000, and now I'm broke halfway through the year, right? So now the next year I might do the same thing, run through the 100,000 and be broke halfway through the year. But by year three, I'm gonna be like, yo, I can't keep taking this chance. So now I'm gonna be a little more responsible with my money, right? Because I know I only got 7 more years of this, and then it's gone. When it comes to in a lump sum, it's harder to keep track of. So all you see is this big number, and you just spend, but you don't keep paying attention to it. When it's the smaller number, your first year, you're gonna blow through 100,000 because you haven't held 100,000 in your hand. I don't care who you are, unless you're Bill Gates' son or something. You've never held $100,000 in your hand at one time, right? So everybody's gonna blow through it. Like I said, I work in the financial services world. I want you guys to know the reality. The reality is this. You see those memes that they put on saying Mark Zuckerberg or Jeff Bezos only wear Walmart clothes, that's an absolute lie. Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos and rich people wear nothing but name brand. The thing about it is, you, the general public, don't know its name brand because it doesn't have the logos all over it. The stuff with the company's logos all over it is usually their cheapest. When you're looking at luxury brands, is usually their cheapest product, right? When you're looking at the more expensive product, you're going to see someone like Mark Zuckerberg wearing a Versace t-shirt that's $110, but it doesn't say Versace, it's just a white t-shirt. The only place it says Versace is in the tag in the back. And Mark Zuckerberg actually wears $410 custom t-shirts. So you're just going to see whoever makes his t-shirt's name in the back, right? But little stuff like that is what separates the rich from the poor. So don't ever feel guilty about buying Gucci, because rich folks buy Gucci too. What's this? She says, I'm paying off what? Paying off houses. Facts. Yeah, and definitely, Qualfie knows rich people wear a bunch of labels. Now, one of the most popular labels for the wealthy is Hermes. Um, just why, I don't know. Burberry is another very popular fashion brand for the wealthy. But when you're looking at brands and the wealthy, they buy brands because they're brands, not just because they're a brand. So, for example, wealthy people buy Burberry because they know it's a fashion item. Burberry isn't particularly known for anything besides their London fog trench coats, which, if you want to save yourself a few $1,000s, just get a London fog instead of Burberry. Because all Burberry is the pattern that was inside of London fog when London fog was popular back in the 80s. It says just like Chaps is the lower of Ralph Lauren, but it's still Polo. Exactly. So there's levels to it. So just like there's levels of clothing, right? You've got Chaps, you've got Polo, you've got Ralph Lauren, you've got Purple Label. You know what I mean? Each one of these is still Ralph Lauren Polo, but there's different thread counts. There's different threads that they're using, right? Different materials. This one might have alpaca fur, while the other one is just wool, right? So that's what you want to look at with your life insurance. A term life insurance would be like getting a USPA, which isn't even Ralph Lauren, but US Polo Association, right? Then getting like a traditional whole life would be like getting a regular polo. Then getting a UL would be like getting Ralph Lauren. Then getting an IUL would be like getting Ralph Lauren Purple Label, right? If I break it down to quote, cause I usually do it in cars, where I'll say, listen, the term is close to an A-class Mercedes, because I'm into Mercedes, so I know, the different classes. But not everybody is into Mercedes like that. So not everybody understands when I say, hey, this is an A-class, what that means. But if I tell you, hey, this is USPA, everybody knows what USPA is in the hood. I mean, oh, you wearing USPA? That's not real polo. Technically, it is. It's just the lower level, right? So, same thing goes for insurance. Now, the thing about it is, with insurance, you have to have, she says, just like Le Tigre, the Fox, Aku, and Lacoste. Yes, exactly, narratives. They're all the same brands, right? Like, I'll give you one that I had to break down for my brother, because he's used to working at mid to high end clothing brands, right? J. Crew, Psycho Bunny. I never really got into Psycho Bunny. Psycho Bunny didn't do it for me. Narratives, I think you know about Psycho Bunny, but He then went from J. Crew, Psycho Bunny, stuff like that, to now he's at Neiman Marcus. And I'm like, oh, it's a whole different world, bro. You're the sales manager. You better learn how to sell. He was like, nah, the salesman's got it. They've got $1 million books of business. Yeah, that's because the sales manager closes their sales for them. Trust me, they're good at what they do. But yeah, same brand, just a different level. So that's what you're looking at when you're looking at life insurances.
Yeah. The crazy part about this, I ain't told too many people, but you know about my Facebook about follow the money.
Yes, sir.
So getting into that, pretty much, I have learned so much that a lot of the brands have certain warehouses that produce their clothes, and in return, with them doing that, a lot of them just come from the same company. Just it's you got one company where it splits one way going to Burberry, other company is splits going to Polo. It's the same company, they're just slapping different tags on it. What's
That's
going on,
crazy.
Yeah, I mean, dude, like literally getting the slides made. Uh, the guy that I'm working with, he basically spent for 250 slides to come to America. Just the import fee alone was about, I think, hit him over the head like $3,000 to $4,000. That's not even including the cost to make the slides.
Hmm.
So like him taking a loss on trying to sell them for a cheap price, like he's looking at selling them for 150, and I'm like, a new company, you got to really have a good name for yourself to sell that brand. I'm like, branding is key in the industry, because I've been dealing in fashion and working with fashion for a minute, and without a name or branding for yourself or any kind of backing from any kind of big name celebrity, it's gonna be flawed.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough. Because people are gonna be skeptical. Though it's not a bad idea to come with a high price point because it does a couple of things. One, especially in our community, in the black community, when things are expensive, we tend to go for them because we want bragging rights. And what that comes from is the secret to selling the Negro, a 1950 movie. And the secret to selling to the Negro is expensive. And the reason that we like expensive is because we like quality items as a people. And so expensive annotates quality in our mind, even though it's not always the case, because some stuff is just expensive for the fact of being expensive, right? Like Virgil Abloh, when he came with the brand Off White, to me, I didn't like any of his clothes, but the brand got so popular and everybody spent a lot of money on that brand, right? Which it ended up taking over Louis Vuitton as one of the top selling luxury brands. But in all reality and in all seriousness, it didn't particularly need to be. Um, because the only reason it got super duper duper popular was because it was expensive, right? And so I don't think you guys is too far off by coming expensive because it's gonna weed out the people who can't afford it, and it'll go to the people who can. Like when Michael Jordan said that he didn't make his sneakers for little black kids in the hood, what he meant was he wanted his sneakers to be expensive so he could bleed the pockets of the rich white guys. It just so happened that the hood wanted to support him. So,
Yeah,
you know, I don't know that 150 for the like he is gonna have to get somebody to endorse it a little bit, but ain't nothing wrong with going high price with the slides.
yeah, he already got one major rapper that's on the QC. Guy 24 Heavy. I actually met him, and we talked. We sat down and talked about some stuff, branding deals. So we pretty much got a plan with it.
All right, definitely. I
But,
know a
but I'll
rapper
talk
out of
about that
Houston.
later.
Yeah, I got a rapper out of Houston that I know that used to be friends with Mo 3 that I'll see if I can holla at.
Yeah, I
So
mean he got a big base. Like he got the rapper Nudie. He
uh
know through him. Twofold QC. He know P. He say he actually talked with P for a minute.
okay.
So it's a couple of people he deal with and know. So got a little got a base where he can start this thing booming. But it's more or less looking along the lines of taking these next steps. He just actually gonna bring out the stuff now that he already has, and then we take it to the next level from there.
Yes, sir. That sounds like a awesome thing. But even that,
Yeah.
right, with the insurance, like this is how you can start businesses. So we got to start. You know what? I'm gonna do a brunch of wealth later this month on using your life insurance for different things, right? So I'm a hope that the people that come to this already have life insurance. You're welcome to come if you don't, but it's best if you already have life insurance to come to this next one. I'm gonna do the flyer today, um, because you want to like companies like Disney World got started off of a loan from his life insurance. He borrowed $50,000 from his life insurance to open Disneyland, Walt Disney. So there's that. Um, we look at our community and the men. We starting from young boys, right? They always we always push this gangster culture, and one of the things that I've seen all too often, at least from our generation, is guys needing to post bail. And when guys need to post bail, they always, oh, I'm gonna put my Aunt Sally's house up. Instead of putting your aunt's
Yeah.
house up, you
It
can
don't
use your
matter
life
what kind of life
insurance.
insurance you got. I was just
Yeah,
telling Laura.
no, it doesn't matter what kind of life insurance you have to attend, just as long as you have it. You can have a policy from your job. You can have a term policy. You can have a whole life policy. The only reason I want you to have insurance to attend is because at the end you'll have questions and you'll have to schedule a time to sit down with me or one of my licensed agents, preferably me. Well, even if you sit with one of my licensed agents, you'll be sitting with me too, because all my agents, I have them basically on training mode, so I don't let them do anything without me. So that's why I've been crazy busy too, because they've been having appointments and I've been having to be on them. But you can do all sorts of different things with your insurance. So for getting a bail bond, if you have insurance, you can actually use your insurance as collateral for that. Maybe you want to buy a house, you can use your insurance as collateral to get a mortgage. You know, when you start a business, SBA requires you to get a collateral policy. So a policy that they know, hey, if something happens to you, then we're getting our small business loan back. The money is guaranteed to be paid back from your death benefit from your life insurance. So again, I'll do one later this month, and I'll put it on my community tab. I'll put it on my Facebook and my Instagram. But I think that it's important that we talk about alternative uses for life insurance. Mainly, I'm going to talk about funding for a house and how you can use your life insurance as a bank and how you can use it as a form of collateral. Because people don't realize life insurance adds to your net worth. So if you want to be a millionaire on paper, get $1 million term policy. Now you're a millionaire because your net worth is $1 million. Because now you're worth, if you die, $1 million more. So that fast, you're a millionaire, right? People got to start thinking net worth isn't, that doesn't mean I can go to the bank and pull out a bunch of dollars. Net worth means that I have assets that are available to be liquidated. And when they are liquidated, I should have this much money available from liquidating those assets. But the thing about the liquidation of assets is it takes time. So it takes time to liquidate things like a house. It takes time to liquidate things like your stocks. And for example, if you die, your house might not be worth what it was 5 years ago. It might be worth more, it might be worth less, it might be even. Your stocks, when you die, might not be at the peak of their value, right? Let's say you got, you're investing in Tesla, and Tesla's, whatever it is, and then 6 years goes by, and you die, and Tesla's not worth, $1 million a share now. It's worth $10 a share. That's what you are bequeathing to your family is $10 a share, not a million, because it's what the stock is valued at the time of death. Now they can project forward or project back 6 months to try and find the best price, but they still have to sell at whatever market value is. And that's the same thing for a house. You've heard of this thing called a fire sale. So a fire sale is an estate sale, and it has nothing to do with the fact that the property caught on fire. What is a fire sale is because they have to sell very fast to settle estate issues, usually estate taxes, right? So those are a few things. Any questions in the chat? Let me see
Nope.
here.
And shout out to Bud Files in the building.
Bud Files, what up? And thank you, She, for letting me come up here and run my mouth. You know I like to run my mouth. So I appreciate. Oh yeah. Also, shout out to me for rocking a three-peat. I don't know if I told you. In 2021, I won the top producer annuity award in my firm and CG Wealth Solutions. We got about 50 agents now. So in
Yeah.
2021, I won the award. And then I did the two-peat last year in 2022. I did the top annuity award. And I just found out I did the three-peat. So 2023, I was the top producer for annuities and life insurance in the firm.
Oh man. Congrats again.
Thank you. I'm trying to be Jordan out here, man. I done did the three-peat. So now I'm going to try and do one more. I'm going to try and do a four-peat. Thank you. Now, part of me doing that and bragging is that all of you who are in earshot, who are my customers or future customers, or I should say clients, or either past clients, present clients, or future clients, have helped me to win that award, right? It's not just something I did on my own. The only way that I get rich is by making you benefit more as my client. And I tell that to my clients, you're going to make me rich, but only if you legally benefit more, right? And so I put you in a position where you're going to benefit. Sheesh. I mean, when me and she sat down, and we should probably sit down again, last time I was like, hey man, he wanted to get some more life insurance. Listen, from what I looked at, it would have been great. It would have been a nice big check for me to get him another policy. But ethically, it didn't make sense at that point in time for me to tell him to get more life insurance. So what did I do? Hey man, right now you look pretty good. You don't really need no more life insurance. Right? And to my surprise, he was like, yeah, I get it, but there's a certain number that I want. And so based on the number that I want, I'm not at that number. So let's do some things to get me there. So there's a couple things, Sheet, I want to talk to you about, because I want to talk to you about a return of premium term too,
Okay.
because I don't think you have that. But at this point, you're probably looking at converting as opposed to doing any more term. But we'll have that discussion. But these are the type of things that we have these conversations with. And make sure, including me, that you always keep in touch with your agent, because the agent, we're salespeople and we make 100% commission. So we got to keep chasing so that we can pay our bills. But that does not mean that we are not supposed to service you and do things like review your policies. However, we're chasing the dragon. So we're not always thinking about our prior clients. So if you think about it, call me. Hey, Lonzo, I ain't have my review in, it's been 2 years. I think it's time for me to do a review. A gallon of milk don't cost the same. Let's check up on where I'm at from where we started, right? And I'll gladly schedule a time with you and do so, because that's part of my job, or part of your financial advisor's job, right? If it's not me you're using, whoever you are using. The reason I say, hey, Alonzo, because I am the advisor to a few people out here. And again, I will try to reach out, but generally I leave that to you to call me and say, hey, it's been a couple years. I want to review where I'm at, and we'll do that, right? Because it's important to have done. You want to, if your advisor doesn't reach out to you every 2 years, okay? So you want to reach out at least every 2 years. Hey, Alonzo, it's been 2 years. I need my review. I just want to make sure, maybe I drop some things, pick up some things, right? Like, I have some clients that I sat with that I sold them because at the time they couldn't afford an IUL. Because, generally when I tell people about an IULs, I'm telling them to put about $500 a month in there, right? To be honest, you can get away with about $300 a month on the low end, structuring it to be properly funded. But generally, I'm telling people put $500, $1,000, $2,000 a month into an IUL. This is again why you have to be very careful when you're working with an agent and talking about an IUL. Give me 1 second. I got to start my car. Um, you want to make sure that when you're working with that agent, hey, listen, with this IUL, how are you setting it up? Is it overfunded? Do I have flexibility of premium? I've never had anyone to reach out for a review, so it's about time I call someone. Yeah, Laura, I do reviews as well, but even if you're not my client, I do offer reviews. You just have to have your documents with you, obviously, for me to be able to review. But most of the time, including myself, we're not gonna reach out because we're so busy chasing it. We have to chase the next dragon, right? I don't get a paycheck every week. I get a paycheck when I make a sale, which sometimes ain't every week. Go ahead, Chief.
Nah, you got it. Go ahead.
So the agent is definitely going to be happy that you reach out to them, because usually if you reach out to the agent, it's likely going to be another sale for that agent in that agent's mind. Let me explain to you why. Most of the time, people never call their agent for a review. Now, you'll get a review call from your car insurance agent all the time, but they're usually trying to get you to bundle or change something or add something, or make sure that you renew. So that's why they call you every 6 months. But your life insurance agent, your investment advisor, especially your investment advisor, they really don't want you to call them. you know and your life insurance agent, remember this, and agents are not going to like me right now, and I'm telling a whole bunch of secrets to the game. And guess what? I'm an agent too. So what I'm telling you is literally from the perspective of an agent. We generally don't follow up after you become a client, because unless something's wrong, you generally don't have any questions, concerns, or comments. And so we're chasing the next dragon because we get paid on commission. So even if we put in a bunch of work and you apply, it doesn't mean that you get approved for the policy. If you don't get approved for the policy, all that work we've just done, we don't get paid for. So we're always chasing the next dragon. But again, that does not mean that it is not our obligation to service you. So make sure that you take it upon yourself to make sure that you get what you paid for. Because Hold on, I'm getting a phone call. Can y'all hear me?
We still hear you.
All right, cool. So, like for example, Sheed, you have policies with me. Make sure you get paid for what, or make sure you get what you're paying for. Every year you keep those policies, I get paid. So make sure that I do work for you, right? Call me up. Hey, I just want to review it, see where it's at. Da, 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 da. You know what I mean? Make sure that you get what you're paying for. And this is not obviously not just with me, but I'm using me as an example, right? Hold your financial professionals' feet to the flame, right? It's a must that it be done. Again, I'm mad at me for exposing this. Why? Oh man, now Lonzo, you're gonna make me have to do work. My clients are gonna call me. Well, you should be happy to service your clients, because here's what happens. You get in your client's mind, and now when they go have conversations like Sheed here, Sheed, what's he do? Hey, man, y'all need to highlight Alonzo for this. Talk about this, that, and the third, right? The reason he says me specifically is because he's dealt with me and he understands that I understand that there's nuances, right? I just sat with a client a few days ago, and he's not in a position to buy an IUL. So I said, listen, get a big term policy, because term insurance is convertible. So get a big face amount term policy. We're going to apply for $1 million term. It's going to be like $50 a month. And then when you get promoted at your job, because he works in law enforcement, you'll have a few more dollars in your paycheck, and then we'll convert, 250,000 of that $1 million a term into a whole life or into an IUL. Yeah, she says I never had anyone. Yeah, definitely, Laura. You want to reach out and get a review. A review is something that you want to have. And Sheed, I'll get in touch with you, and we'll definitely do a review sometime this year, because it's been at least 2 years,
Cool.
right? And those are things that you want to make sure. Even at the bank, this is why the bank has something called relationship banker. Okay? You don't have to have $1 million to you can ask them and find out, what APR am I getting from this savings account? What are your best savings accounts? What are your high yield savings accounts? These are questions you need to be asking your financial professionals. Unfortunately, you don't know. So because you don't know, what don't you do? You don't ask, right? You never sit with me and get a review on your insurance policy, because I never tell you that part of my job is to do a review with you. Why would I tell you that? That means more work for me that I'm not getting paid for. But if that means that you keep your policy, then I'm getting paid for it. If that means that you increase your policy, then I'm getting paid for it. Maybe you go, you know what? I had a policy on me. I'm going to get a policy on my kids. I'm going to get a policy on my wife. I'm going to get a policy on my mother. I'm going to get a policy on my nephew. I'm going to introduce you to my cousin. I'm going to introduce you to this guy I work with. Right? And now you become a fixture. Says, this has been great information. Yes. No doubt, country girl Quita. Thank you. You know, uh, it's funny, Sheet. I got to do more things like this. I did. You know how I do my live streams, and sometimes I stream some of the meetings I'm in. Well, I got in trouble recently for doing that. The company reached out to me and they were like, what are you doing? Why you streaming our stuff? Uh so yeah, I got in a little trouble for giving y'all this information. But that doesn't mean I'm gonna stop. But I have a few companies whose CEOs have actually reached out to me. It been like, we see your YouTube content. Like specifically, like, I'm on Facebook with it, but and I got in trouble for a Facebook post too. But I got in some serious trouble for a YouTube post. I had to take the video down, or face legal action, and I ain't got it like that to be dealing in court with these big companies. But so trust me, the information I'm giving you is valid. Like I did a video recently talking about how the Democrats are wanting to go after private placement life insurance because they're saying it's a tax shelter or a tax loophole for the wealthy. And to be honest, it can be a tax loophole for everybody. I might put a poll up on my community tab actually before I do this brunch and wealth this month, and it'll probably be closer to the end of the month. But I want to see if you guys want to look at tax strategies or if you want to look at collateral strategies, like how to buy a house with life insurance, how to become your own bank with life insurance. If you want to look at collateral strategies or tax saving strategies. The tax saving strategies will be more for business owners, self-employed people, if you got an LLC, things like that. What do you think, She? What would you rather see, the taxes or collateral, like home, or getting a house and getting a business? Let me check the comment. Yeah, but definitely make sure your agent, like I said, get what you've paid for. And every year that you have a policy, you're paying someone. And every year that you have a mutual fund, you're paying someone. Let me see what this comment here. Okay, so we want to learn about the house. Okay. So I think I'm going to do the thing about, being able to get a house and ways, alternative funding for houses. I'll see if I can get some real estate agents with me, and we'll talk about that too. Matter of
Yeah, I
fact,
meant to say house. I had my other mic muted, but
oh,
yeah,
that's all good. Yeah, so the house thing, definitely, yeah, because the tax strategies, that's for businesses. But if you want to learn about the house so there's a couple of things. You can get a house and a mortgage and become your own bank. So I'll do those three. I'll touch on those topics. I'm gonna see if I could get a mortgage banker on with me, but that would turn into me having to educate that mortgage banker because most of them aren't familiar with a collateral assignment. But that's it for me. I appreciate you bringing me up. I'm gonna go ahead and hold on. We got another comment going. Sounds great. Yeah, now like I said, I will put in my community tab. I'll put the date and the registration. You'll have to register, so you have to put like your email address and everything. But I'm sure I know she will share it. This one I think will be another free event. Generally, I'm gonna start doing paid events because the paid events people take more seriously. I know people paying like $397, charging like $400 for their events. So, I'm not gonna charge that much. I might charge like $25. But I think from the information you guys have gotten here, you will find value in that information. So I'm not concerned too much there. um, And again, the reason that I will put a paywall ahead of it, the only reason is because, well, I'll be quite honest. I got hurt my emotionally by black men because I had come to this space of the black manosphere thinking, okay, as brothers, we talking about something other than the latest Lil Wayne conversation. And I was in the channel and I had a brunch and wealth about the houses. That was my first one. And two people showed up. One was she and one was Rael. Ironically enough, two brothers who still run around this space talking about me in a good way, not in a bad way, right? And the reason I'm hurt is because we got these guys who are talking about, we want empowerment and this, that, and the third, and get your finances right, and you know, this one, that one, and the other one. And I literally, this was a channel with over 7,000 people, right? You get 100 people a day who sit there and watch them talk about what's wrong with Keisha. And I literally brought y'all what y'all wanted, and to only get two men in there said something to me about what brothers is on. But I don't want to harp too much on that because you don't even be in there no more. You be in gardening and stuff. So people are probably like, I don't even know what you're talking about, Lonzo.
Yeah,
What
I
is he
mean
saying?
that's like the direction. Like I told those guys, I'm married. I said I understand. The gender war talk between the men and women, but this is the thing: if we're not building or doing anything, then what is it good for? If the guys say that the women are the issue, well, men need to build themselves up, and then you might have to be alone. If
Hmm.
you get to a point where that's how I say I don't really do too much gender talks over here because it's pointless. Because if you know you have an issue, you fix the issue, then it won't be a problem. But as long as you complain about the issue, it never results in fixing the problem because going to another community, dealing with other women is not fixing the problem. You know, dealing with yourself. If you make yourself out to be the best person and you do the best regarding yourself, then that's all you can, give to society, and everything else it falls on the people, deaf, dumb, and blind when it comes to that point. But other than that, I don't even dwell in those conversations. I do spend my occasionally go holler at Truth and MOT. But other than that, I really don't even associate myself with those guys over there because, like I said, I came over for the knowledge, and that's why I came over when we were having talks about, the family, when we were having the conversation on building, when we were having those good conversations, I was all for that. I wasn't for the, pushback and the, this person this and this person that. I'm like, when is it gonna end? You know, like I tell guys, I'm married. I don't have no dog in the fight like you guys complaining about women because at the end of the day, it's even with the women they have this problem. They say ain't no good men out here, just like the men say ain't no good women. No, it's the people that you're choosing. So that's why I say I
Hmm.
tend not to even have that conversation anymore because out of everybody saying these things, I'm married. Then they said, well, you married a Jamaican woman, you didn't marry an American black woman. I said, well, my wife been in this country ever since she was 6 years old. You embedded in the culture because your elementary everything dictates all the stuff she grew up in. She could have a cultural background in the family, but we all know through generations above that the children are not being raised within the generation in which they earn and gain respect. They're being brought up in these cultures now to where their family, their friends are raising them with the utmost to be better in society. Like my sons, I teach my son things, but when they go to school, their friends influence them. So I can say, be a good kid, don't be bad in school, and their friend will say, oh man, just throw this paper. You're not gonna get in no trouble. These kids,
Yeah.
until they get to a point of grasping the concept and understanding life, merely you're gonna keep having these issues, and that's why I say it's like It's a never ending argument to have an issue about a woman that you're not supposed to be with in the first place, just like the women. There's an issue
Yeah.
of women complaining about the men who are not showing them no love, which you shouldn't have been messing with them in the first place. Charleston White, despite all the stuff that he talks about, that guy's a very intelligent person. And he already let people know that for those that don't know, it's a persona. He talks about the rappers wearing the chains and talking crazy. That's what he do. He says, I am a character just like every rapper is. They are entertainers and I'm entertaining you. He said the first time he said he ever snitched on somebody, he got 1,000 views. Before, when he was talking about, man, let's go help these guys get out of jail. Let's go help these women in these homes do better for themselves. Nobody listens. That's why, like
Yep.
with my channel, if nobody listens to me giving this content, I'm fine with that. Because I'm not doing it for the entertainment. I'm doing it for the people. Those who come
Right.
get the information, that's it. I'm not in support of trying to, entertain and dance all the time. There's a couple of times I could have shows like that to entertain and hit hard topics, but mainly I want to focus on the information. So therefore, it is what it is.
Yeah. No, I definitely understand that. That's why I wanted to stop where I was at. But, I think I'll give more time. This is going to be a short notice one because I'm going to try and do it at the end of this month.
Uh
Um,
huh.
but, I think doing more to brunch and wealth is important. I try to leave them to Charles, but I'll go ahead and take the reins on that because I might just do almost a brunch and wealth style thing when I go live
Mhm.
and just start talking about topics live.
Yeah.
I might do that and then open the panel for questions.
Okay.
In fact, I think I'm gonna do that today. I'm gonna open the panel for questions.
APTV in the building. What's going on? AP Absalom Bianchi.
AP, what's up? Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna start off with maybe some general, you know, this might be the best thing for a person to get. Salute APTV. This might be the best thing for a person to get if they're, 35, male with no kids, you know, no wife, no kids, and you're 35 and you in this position, or and maybe some general topics like that. But yeah, I'm gonna definitely do that brunch and well, cause that'll be good for the people. Like I said though, main things that I want y'all to take away from here is to get what you pay for. So if you've purchased an insurance policy from anyone and you've had that policy for more than 1 year, well, honestly, more than 2 years, you need to go get what you're paid for and get a review. Every 2 years, you should try to get a review. Now, here's the thing. Maybe you don't need to change a thing, right? Maybe you guys look over it. Oh, well, you know what? Based on what I'm seeing here, da 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 da, or based on what I feel here, blah 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 blah. You're good at this position, so you don't need anything else. Or maybe, oh, you know what? I wanna change to this. Conscious, what's up? Right? So maybe you want to change, your order, you know? Um, so again, get what you pay for. Try to do a review with your agent at least once every 2 years, and you're gonna want to seek them out. Um, be careful when people are pushing a product on you, whether it's an IUL, whether it's a term, whether it's a whole life, whether it's an investment. If they're pushing one particular product, you want to be careful. Now, that doesn't mean that they won't recommend one particular product. So here's what I mean. If they come to you and I say, hey, Alonzo, I heard you sell life insurance. Yeah, you should get an IUL. Well, okay, why should I get an IUL? Because the IUL is the best product out there. Okay, why is the IUL the best product for me? Because the IUL does this. Okay, cool. That's a great product. But why shouldn't I get a term policy? Well, because term policy doesn't do this. Okay, thank you. See you later. Now, when you come to me, hey, Alonzo, you sell life insurance. Yep, you should get a term policy. Why should I get a term policy? Because you should buy term and invest the rest. Well, what am I investing in, and what is the rest compared to what I'm buying term? What am I comparing it to? Nothing. Just buy term life. Again, you should run. What you want to do is you want to have somebody who's like, hey, let's sit down and talk. I need to go over your numbers. I need to find out what your assets and liabilities are. I go through this often with clients where I try to do the fact finder and they stop me midway and be like, listen, I just want to know how much some life insurance costs. The problem is that's like going to the doctor and saying, no, I'm not going to let you triage me and take my blood pressure and my blood sugar or my height and weight and whatever, nurse. Just give me medicine. Well, I don't know what medicine to give you because I haven't diagnosed you, right? And certain symptoms can be of multiple, or certain symptoms can go to multiple illnesses. So I need to diagnose you and see, okay, you make how much a month? You make this a month? Because you saying, listen, I just want $100,000 of life insurance. Okay, but you're 45, you got a wife and two kids, you got a mortgage, two car notes, and so you got $600,000 worth of debt. But all, and you make $75,000 a year. Your wife doesn't work, and your kids aren't college age. Now, if you die with that $100,000, cool. My family gets $100,000. My wife will be able to pay for my funeral and then pay the mortgage for maybe the rest of this year. Oh yeah, we got the car notes. Oh yeah, we got regular bills. Oh yeah, that 75K a year I brought in is gone. So now my wife got to go get a job, which means she got to find somebody to babysit, which costs money. So hopefully she got some of that 100,000 left, right? Versus if you go through the numbers with someone like myself, now I find out, okay, you got a car note, you got a mortgage, you already got money set aside for savings. There's a website you can go to. It's called lifehappens.org, right? And at lifehappens.org, you can actually calculate how much life insurance you need. It'll also include the life insurance you currently have. But I'm going to hop off and get ready to do my live. I've got some training to do for some agents. Like I said, between 12 and 2, I'll give me 1 second. Between 12 and 2, I'll go live and do a little open panel. So I'll leave the opportunity for people to come up and ask questions. This life insurance thing is really a lot deeper than people think. So I'll leave y'all with this. It's like real estate. Anybody who's gotten their real estate license, like I have my real estate license too. And it's like real estate, right? You can get your real estate license and you can rent out apartments. You can get your real estate license and you can be a property manager. You can get your real estate license and you can sell residential homes. You can get your real estate license and you can be a leasing agent. You can get your real estate license and you can sell timeshares. You could get your real estate license and you could be a commercial leasing agent. You could get your real estate license and be a commercial rental agent. You can get your real estate license and be a commercial real estate salesperson. You can get your real estate license and sell businesses. So those are so many different things that you could do with your real estate license. You could become an appraiser with your real estate license, right? So those are things you can do with your real estate license. So there's a bunch of different stuff you can do with the product of life insurance, just like there's a bunch of different stuff you can do with the product of real estate. You can go real estate and just sell land or farms. There's a bunch of shit, right? In insurance, you can do things like be a bail bondsman with your insurance license, right? So you can actually become a bounty hunter with your insurance license, right? So you can go put bail bonds up for people and go hunt them down and bring them into jail when they don't come back with your money or for your money when because you bailed them out of jail. Hey, listen, I'm gonna hunt you down, son, because you're not about to run off with my 10, 15 grand. We bring you back to court, son, right? But these are things that actually you can do with your insurance license. Um, you know, you can, but even again with just the product itself, there's so many different things you could do. But listen, I'm gonna hop off, y'all. So make sure y'all hit that like, drop a comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. So you're made aware every time she drops new content as well. And as always, share, share, share. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, wipe ass, work in progress every day and see success. And remember, folks, when people challenge you, they don't challenge you to challenge you, but they challenge you to challenge you. Accept the challenge. With that, I'm out. Hold on, what's this here? You look forward to hearing more. Yeah, look for my channel. I'm gonna post it up in my community. Let me put my channel in the comments. Hold on. And good looking she. That's my channel. I just put in the comments. Oh yeah, you got a wrench. You could just click my picture and go to my channel. But make sure you come over there and subscribe and get with me. Hold on, let me switch my Bluetooth off of this car. All right. Hopefully y'all can still hear me. All right. Thank you, Laura. So yeah, look forward to me and bring my car to the body shop. I was waiting to bring it in for like 2 weeks. Come to find out, the guy who took my information, I guess he was quitting, so he was no longer there. So that's why I was waiting, which was kind of messed up. But such is life. But I, Sheed, I appreciate y'all. I'ma hop off. I'ma watch from the clouds. And like I said, I got some work to do. So peace.
StreamYard kill him. Shout out. You know what I always say? We here. We here. You know I had to come on and say we gone.